This episode originally aired September 3rd, 2021 on the Unethical Patreon. Our client today is none other than OJ Simpson.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so putting on my theoretical OJ face.
Hey, get the door, RJ.
Oh, yeah, sure. Who is it?
It's Orenthal James Simpson.
Oh my God, you guys, OJ's here.
The juice? Let him in. The juice.
All right, come on in, sir.
Oh, thank you. It's fantastic to be here. Just got done running through Hertz through the airport. And tired right now. Just got back into Brentwood myself. So
go, OJ, go. Go, OJ, go. That was fun ads. You were cool once, OJ.
Oh,
what's up?
Thank you. Well, we'll get down to business here. The reason I'm here is, if you haven't heard, my ex-wife, Nicole, the love of my life, has been murdered gruesomely by a gang of thugs or somebody out in Brentwood. And, well, need somebody to help me find him. And saw your ad on the Facebook page there. And, well, the juice was on Twitter and Facebook here. And just figured I'd give you guys a holler and track you on down.
That's crazy. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, no, I saw all that stuff. Do you want me to figure out who killed Ron too, or just Nicole?
I'm sorry. Who's this? Oh, yeah, the kid. Yeah, sure. While you're at it, hopefully you find out who got him too. So.
All right. Well, what do you think, Rick? Should we take on OJ as a client, buddy?
It's risky, but I think we should do it.
Yeah, I think it's easy. I don't know why people haven't figured this out already. We'll solve that, no problem. I don't know. I feel like RJ already knows who did it at this point.
Fantastic.
I'm not going to say it in his presence, though.
Fantastic. The private dicks and the juice. It's fits like a glove, gentlemen. Fits like a glove.
Okay, OJ. Well, you know what? We'll call you back when we get it solved. We'll let you know, and then RJ or Rick will send you the bill. It'll be good. I think you can afford it now. You don't have to. You got money now, right?
The juice can afford anything. Okay.
Okay.
Well, he could also sign these jerseys that I got at an auction, and that would be.
Don't sell them to any hotels, kid, and you're good. I'll sign them.
Oh, okay.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. Until next time. Later.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Do you think he'll kill us if we get it wrong?
I think, I hope after this is all done and we do get it wrong, it gets by his desk anyway and he listens to whatever we have to say. And legitimately, I hope OJ listens to this. OJ,
okay.
Orenthal, if you're listening, listen. So,
if you're listening, listen.
Yeah,
listen
that's the shout out.
Yeah, don't stop listening, dickhead. Keep listening. I tried to keep OJ out of this as much as possible till like near the end. So it's not really about OJ. This is more about the murder of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown. Ronald Lyle Goldman, or Ron, was born on July 2nd, 1968 in Chicago. He grew up in Buffalo Grove, which is just about 50 kilometers northwest of Chicago's downtown. So it's not too far from the big city. It's a suburb, they might say. His mother, Sharon Rufo, and father, Frederick Goldman, were divorced, and he primarily lived with his father and his little sister, Kim. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Fred Goldman, but he has the best mustache in the game. All right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's like, take the time, whoever's listening to this, to just look up his mustache, and he hasn't changed it. It's been the same. He's got the same one he did in 95.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's sick. And he's serious. It's not an ironic mustache. He does that on purpose. So that's fantastic.
Shit. Monopoly and then the OJ trial? That's crazy.
Dude was on a hot streak for a minute there.
Fuck.
All right. Ron went to high school at Stevenson High School in Lincolnshire, Illinois. He was a camp counselor and volunteered to help children with cerebral palsy. He went to Illinois State University for a year to study psychology. In university, he was a frat boy. He pledged for Sigma, whatever. I don't know what these fucking symbols mean. So he pledged for some shit. I don't give a shit. He dropped out of school, like out of college, to move with his family to California in 1987. He was 18 at the time. So he moved to LA and fell in love with the California lifestyle. He was an avid surfer, tennis player, volleyball player. For a while, he was a tennis instructor. They even call him a tennis pro at some point. He was also a third-degree black belt, which I find is pretty rare for a 25-year-old, if he even was a third-degree black belt.
That's him in your background, right?
Yeah.
That looks like a guy who would lie about being a black belt.
Oh, for sure. I feel like it's like 20 years to become a fucking third-degree black belt like monster, but I don't know about
that. Dude's a third drink at the bar, getting in a tough with somebody, black belt.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is why is he making this face where he's like pulling his eyebrows together when his eyes are already so close?
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's trying to pull him apart. He's self-conscious about it.
Oh shit.
Maybe he was a black belt. I don't know. We'll talk about it a little bit more later. He worked out at a trendy gym. He served at trendy restaurants and partied at trendy clubs during the evenings. According to his friends, he didn't do drugs and he lived a very clean lifestyle. Ron was a very good-looking young man. He used to dabble in the modeling as well. That's, I think, one of his modeling pictures. That's what you're looking at right there. He was a contestant on a short-lived show called Studs. And this game is like basically like he goes on dates with 3 different girls. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. But if at the end, if you win, you get to go on an all-expense-paid date with the girl.
You can still win, though, Ron, because it's double or nothing now. All you got to do is tell me who you want to go out with. If she wants to go out with you again, still knowing you get to go and we pay for it, all right?
Perfect.
We'll start with you.
All right. I didn't pick Connie. It dragged too long. I had no clue, like, really where the feelings were, so I kind of left Connie out.
Okay.
Didn't pick Vala. Vala was a great girl, but I just had the best date with Diane.
Okay. All right. And if Diane had her best date with you, where are you guys going to go?
I figure we get a houseboat on the Colorado River for a couple days and lie naked during the day and
Of course.
make love naked at night.
Fucking Ron Goldman's date idea was to fucking rent a houseboat and go down the fucking Colorado River. What the fuck is that? That is the weirdest, most random date I've ever heard in my life.
No, it's the implication.
Yeah. Yeah, he heard all expense paid date rape.
Yeah. He's not going to force her to have sex, but she can't go anywhere, so it's the implication.
Yeah, it's the old it's always sunny theory. Dennis's theory.
Yep.
It's implied.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to tell you right now, those girls on that show too fucking loved him. He didn't win. The other guy won. But they were all like, this guy's hot. This guy's sexy. Like, this guy was smashing all the time. Okay? He was banging girls. I'm guaranteeing it.
That's crazy. But only if they were like within this portion of his line of sight, right?
Yeah, because yes,
Like that's 3 inches straight in front of him, not on the sides.
Yeah, he does no peripheral.
Yeah, he's got like 4 inches of head meat on either side of his head. That's crazy.
He did have a girlfriend, believe it or not, even with the eyes.
I believe it.
Jackie Bell, that's what her name was. But they broke it off 3 months before his death. So he was newly single when he died. He moved to Brentwood 18 months before his death, and this slowed down his partying a lot. Brentwood's kind of like a trendy LA area. It's like where rich people live for sure. And it's got like expensive restaurants and nice nightclubs and shit. It's not the shitty part of LA, you know what I mean? It's super nice. Mm-hmm. So when he moved there, he just partied on weekends. He stopped partying every goddamn day. Also, he got an emergency medical technician license not long before his death. So I don't think he was going to use it really because he really had more of a dream to open his own restaurant in Brentwood. And he wasn't going to name it a name. He was going to name it a symbol like Prince, but like the Ankh symbol. Do you know what the Ankh is? The Ankh.
Yep. What a dickhead.
Yeah, it's super fucking cheese, but it's so 90s. And he had the tattoo on his arm, so it would have matched his arm tattoo.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Something about this guy makes me want to kill him.
He just honestly, like Ron Goldman was just a kid. You know, he was just literally 25 when he died. And he really didn't get to do much. He just was going out banging chicks. Like that's what his goal was. Go be a tennis instructor, go surfing, pick up girls, go to clubs.
What is your bar
good
for
model.
much? Jesus Christ. He got to do everything.
No, I know, but he didn't. No, much. That's not banging girls is just a part of life. There's
No, but you
way
just
more
said
to it.
that you banging girls was one, but then you said tennis instructor. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
but
sure you
that's
said surfing.
all that is yeah, all that is like living on a beach. That's not like you're
Okay,
not.
yeah, he didn't accomplish great things. He did. He
How
fucking-
rich were his parents prior to the death?
Yeah.
Like, was he like a trust fund baby?
I'm gonna say is he was rich because he was just a fucking waiter. He couldn't afford where he lived. No, by himself. I doubt it.
That's a pretty good 25 years. I mean,
Yeah, I guess you're right. I to me, it's like it's shut out early. He died at 25. It's like a very young fucking age. You know what I mean?
I guess. But what were you doing when you were 25?
Stand up, traveling.
Yeah, that sucks.
Depends who you are.
It's just much sadder than just getting to live in LA and fucking do
Yeah.
whatever you want because it's financed by somebody.
he literally became a black belt in half the time than most people
Yes.
because he had so much money.
Okay. Well, Ron, I'm sorry about you guys agree to disagree. I think he did jack squat. You guys think he lived the fucking charmed life. That's cool. Good for you guys. I'm down. I'm
Very
down.
privileged young man.
Oh, for sure. No one didn't say he was privileged. Fuck, he was on. He was good looking.
Yeah, he was on a fucking reality show. God damn it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's move to Nicole a bit here. Nicole Brown was born in Frankfurt, Germany on May 19th, 1959. She was the second oldest of four sisters. Her mom, Judy Brown, was German, and her father, Lou Brown Jr., was American. They were married in Switzerland when Lou was correspondent for the military publication Stars and Stripes, based out of Germany.
Wait a minute. What year did those two get married? That's a little sus.
They were married for actually 58 years before he died in 2014. So figure it out when they got married. 58 years they were married. 2014, minus that out. I don't know. I can't do math. When they moved to Garden Grove, California, Nicole had no trouble adjusting to the change. When she was in high school, her parents and three siblings moved to Dana Point, California. She was named Homecoming Princess at the 1976 Dana Hills High School and was said to be gravitate to the beaches even at a young age. May 20th, 1977, a day after her 18th birthday, she graduated high school. She had a job for 2 weeks after that at a clothing shop, then got a job at the upscale Beverly Hills nightclub, The Daisy. The Daisy was a members only nightclub. Its initiation was $500 at the time when Nicole worked there. And throughout its illustrious existence, it was the location of many famous pop culture moments. I'm not even going to wrap them off. There is a bunch of shit that happened at the Daisy. It's a famous little place. So for her at 18, this is a really good gig. She's 2 weeks into being 18. Remember this?
What year is it?
1977.
She's 8. Damn.
Yeah.
She's older than my mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. She was 10 years older than Ron.
I was just gonna say that didn't seem to add up. So
No, yeah, she was 10 years older than Ron. So on her first shift, she met her future husband, Orenthal James Simpson. He was 29 at the time, and she caught his eye as soon as he saw her. That's what he says. OJ was a famous sports star at the time, but Nicole didn't really know who he was. So that kind of, I think, turned him on even more. Like somebody who doesn't know I'm a piece of shit. He was married when he met Nicole, but that didn't stop them from having an affair and ultimately causing OJ to divorce his first wife, Marguerite Whitley, in 1979, whom he already had 3 kids with.
Yes. Well, that's just celebrity true love.
Yes.
The requirement to already be married before you can meet the one.
Yeah, you want it to get worse? I'll make it worse. Arnell is his firstborn. She was born in 1967. Jason in 1970. Their third one was born in 1977. His name was Aaron. And he died as a toddler in a swimming pool accident just before her second birthday. She didn't drown, but days later died while in a coma. So, by the way, Marguerite was pregnant with Aaron when Nicole and OJ first started dating.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like, fuck my pregnant wife. And then they were fighting. I'm just going to say somebody wasn't watching the baby.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah. OJ moved out of the Rockingham. I got to say one more thing about OJ's past because I didn't really get into it much.
Is it about the dead baby?
No, but that's the funny part. when OJ was when he was a kid in Chicago, he joined a gang called the Persian Warriors. I love it.
Fucking
Then
incredible.
yeah, and then he met Willie Mays, and Willie Mays is like, stick with sport, don't get in gangs, and you can be just like me. And he did. Yeah, I'm serious. Willie Mays got him off of the Persian
Wow.
Warriors. Yeah.
Wait, was he Persian? He's not Persian, right?
No,
There's
I feel like
Persian in him?
that's the name of a gang that doesn't know what Persian means. They just think it
Like the
sounds cool.
Rugs.
Yeah.
OJ and his wife lived in the same place OJ lived with Nicole, which was his Rockingham estate. And he'd actually moved out in 1977 when he and Marguerite divorced, but he moved back in the house at some point. I couldn't figure out when he moved back, but I know he left before she left. She got time to leave. I'm just trying to give a history of this place because he had it for a long fucking time.
And he still has it to this day, right? Just like all of his possessions?
No. She gone.
Wow.
It's reported that Marguerite wanted to keep the house, but OJ refused to leave. So I'm not exactly sure how that went down. So she just tried to be like, I get the house. He's like, I'm fucking OJ. Get the fuck out of the house. Yeah. So Nicole enrolled in Saddleback College while she dropped out a few months later, stating that she had to get out of school because OJ required that she be with him. So OJ was that controlling. Nicole and OJ married in February 1985, which is also the same year their daughter Sydney was born, about 8 months later. So I'm guessing there might have been a pregnancy and he went, we're good Catholic people. Let's get married.
I didn't know they had a kid.
Oh yeah, they have two. Yeah.
No shit.
I couldn't figure out either way whether or not it was conceived and then OJ went, I got to make a woman. Cause there was a different obligation back then to like marry someone who's pregnant if you're Catholic like that. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's just my feeling.
What year was it she got pregnant?
1985.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And their son was born in 1988.
They were, when they were married though, they were married in the Rockingham estate in the backyard. So where he used to live with his ex-wife and where his youngest kid died in the swimming pool, same place they got married.
Power move. Yeah.
Yeah. Power.
I own my past.
Yeah. Yeah. So Justin is Nicole's youngest, and he was born in 1988. Nicole and OJ had a tumultuous marriage that lasted 7 years. Nicole was considered a great mother and refused to have nannies. That's what they said. She was a great mom. She didn't get nannies. I was like, yeah, lots of moms don't get nannies and they're still douchebags. It doesn't mean anything. Just because she could afford it, she didn't do it. But anyways, it doesn't matter. She would bring the kids to all their various karate and dance lessons. She was a stay-at-home. You'll see what happens in a bit. She planned all the birthday parties, family gatherings at their home in Brentwood. Throughout those 7 years, OJ was unfaithful and abusive, both verbally and physically. In 1988,
Hearsay.
No, not hearsay. Fact.
Rumors.
We'll see.
Slander.
We'll see. In 1988, OJ bought Nicole a Ferrari. She called it his way of apologizing, so for being an asshole. So he just bought her a Ferrari, and then they divorced February 25th, 1992, stating irreconcilable differences. She moved out into a condo at Gretna Green Way. The place is about 5 kilometers, or sorry, the place cost her $5,000 a month. It's a big old nice place. She rented out her spare room to friend Chris Kato Kalin, who is an aspiring actor and part-time babysitter for Justin and Sydney. The divorce was settled in October 1992, and Nicole was awarded $433,000 settlement and a $10,000 a month child support payment. Oh God.
Wow.
So much. Yeah. She also kept the deed for a property they had in San Francisco. So she got a nice settlement. She got a nice divorce.
Good for her.
Yeah. Now,
until later, I guess.
The two tried to reconcile in 1993, but that fell through pretty quickly. So when she kind of fell through, she sold the property in San Francisco and bought a condo at Bundy Drive, 4 kilometers away from OJ's mansion. So she'd be closer to the kids and the kids could be closer to OJ because they were getting along. Like she went to premiere to Naked Gun 33 1/3, like in 94. They weren't together, but she went with them with the kids and like they were amicable, I should say. All right. They were still say that. Yeah, they were still seeing each other regularly, but Nicole definitely dropped the Simpson from her name when she went out in public. The separation seemed amicable enough because OJ, Nicole, and the kids were all on the red carpet. Yeah, okay, I said that part. So, and That was in March 16th, 1994 when she went to that. So she was killed in June 1994. So it was like months before her murder that she was hanging out with OJ and the rest of them. They also went on vacation that same month to Mexico for Easter with the Kardashian family. 6 weeks before the murder in April or early May 1994, this is where the stories intersect. All right. Ron and Nicole meet. Ron was 10 years her junior. I'm not really sure where they met, whether it was at the gym, at the clubs, while he was waiting tables at the restaurant she frequented, or just randomly somewhere in Brentwood, but they said to be friends for at least 6 weeks before. They used to go out for coffee together. They went out to dinners together. They went to the clubs with each other. Ron would actually brag about pulling up at nightclubs in her Ferrari driving, watching all the heads turn. So she'd be like, drive us up, Ronnie. Ron actually borrowed her Ferrari one time on his own to go pick up a friend for lunch, which I find kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like he went without her. Like, you think you just lend your Ferrari out to a 25-year-old if you're in your 30s?
That was fucking them, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. There's lots of people say they weren't fucking, and lots of people say they're dating.
Lots of people are wrong every day, Richard.
That's true. I think they were dating after reading all this. I think they were just friends, but I think they were just fucking. Like, I think she was just out for a fuck. I don't think they were dating per se, but they were definitely, like, you don't lend a Ferrari out to someone you didn't just have your penis in their mouth. You know what I mean? Like, that's not.
But she's this older, effectively rich spinster with a Ferrari who has this 25-year-old hanging around with her. I mean, come on. Of course you're going to be like, yes, mommy will let you borrow the Ferrari.
Gross, but yeah.
I mean,
she's a babe and a half, even at 35.
There is nothing gross about borrowing mommy's Ferrari, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just ended by saying that you don't lend someone your Ferrari unless you had your penis in your mouth. Then you called it mom's Ferrari. So that was where I was at with the whole that's gross.
Mommy's.
Ferrari. I got what you're saying.
Don't be afraid to say mommy, Richard.
Mommy, mama.
Throw you in there. It can be mummy.
Moom. All right. So on June 12th, 1994, Nicole got up early, fed the kids, and brought them shopping. Later in the day, Nicole and her parents and other members of the family were attending a dance recital for her daughter. OJ was also at the recital, but without his new girlfriend, Paula Barbieri. After the dance recital, at about 6:30 p.m., Nicole and her family and kids went for dinner at the Mezzaluna restaurant, where Ron was a waiter. OJ was not invited, specifically told, don't come. Ron was not their server that night, but there's accounts of them actually having a conversation. He might have been their greeter or something, whatever you call those people that when you walk into a restaurant. They had a lovely dinner, and Nicole, along with her kids, left the Mezzaluna and stopped for ice cream on the way home. When Nicole got home, she put the kids to bed. At 9 o'clock, OJ called Nicole. She didn't pick up. Faye Resnick, who was a close friend of Nicole, called from rehab at 9:15, and they talked for about 15-20 minutes. Around 9:30, after a call from her mother, Nicole calls the Mezzaluna to say that her mother had forgotten her glasses at the restaurant. Now, Ron, being the nice guy that he is, and the guy who likes blowjobs like he is, says, I'll bring those back. No problem. After my shift. He probably did this because he was considered a good guy by all who knew him, and he also knew Nicole, and maybe he could touch her Ferrari again. That's anyway. At some point around this time, Nicole had run a bath and lit some candles. Ron leaves work and stops in at his apartment, makes plans with his roommate to go out later that night, and leaves to drop the glasses off at Nicole's. This is at about 10 p.m. Between 10:15 and 10:45, a dog is heard barking near Nicole's Bundy Drive apartment in a very, quote, persistent and non-stop manner by multiple neighbors. Sydney and Justin, Nicole's kids, are sleeping upstairs in their bedroom. At 10:55, Stephen Schwab, a neighbor of Nicole's, was out walking his dog when he saw Nicole's Akita, which is a type of dog, named Kato, which they named after Kato Kalin. The kids named it after Kato Kalin, which I find hilarious. You are basically the dog. I love it. I find that so funny. He's got the same brain power as that dog too, I'm sure. He's a moron. If you've ever seen Kato Kalin talk, he's an idiot.
A moron like a fox.
Schwab saw the dog, and it was seen by itself on the street with moist blood on its legs and paws. Then the dog followed him home. which is 2.5 blocks away, and he gave it water. Schwab almost called the local animal shelter, but at around 11:45, Schwab's downstairs neighbor, Sukru Boztep, decided to put a leash on the dog and walk it back to where Schwab had originally found it, just in case they could return Kato to its owner. At 11:58, the dog Kato brought him to Nicole's condo, where Boztep saw the body of Nicole Brown Simpson laying in a pool of her blood on a walkway on the side of her house. Ron's body was found dead nearby. Sydney and Justin were sleeping upstairs. The prevailing theory on how the murder took place claimed that the assailant bumped into Nicole by either knocking on her door or he was just lurking outside and she confronted him. An argument ensues about why that person was at her house or why the assailant was creeping around her house. Then the assailant pulls a 6-inch single-edged knife, delivering 6 slashes to her neck and throat. Then the assailant hit Nicole with the blunt end of his knife, or just maybe even punched her, knocking her to the ground. She was not dead at this point because of the bruising on her head. She would have had to have significant blood pressure for the bruise to form, meaning she was still living. It is here where Ron is said to have showed up to deliver the glasses to Nicole. They know for sure Nicole was stabbed before Ron because Ron's shoes and socks were soaked in blood and Nicole had no blood on the bottom of her feet. But they do think Ron showed up and tried to break up the murder. Ron would have fought the assailant hard. He was a 3rd-degree black belt after all, but he was pinned up against an iron fence. It explains the many defensive wounds he had. His neck looked like it ripped the skin because the knife was twisted and he was backing up. So when he was stabbed, he was backing up and it ripped out of him instead of just cut.
Oh, fuck.
By the end, Ron had 22 or more stab wounds on his neck, abdomen, chest, hands, and face. All while Nicole lay beaten and probably even stabbed a few times on the patio stones nearby. And Justin and Sydney were sleeping upstairs.
It's beginning to sound a lot more like someone had a problem with Ron more than Nicole.
After leaving Goldman's lifeless body wrapped around a tree stump, the assailant walked over to Nicole, stood over her almost lifeless body, placed a foot on her back, grabbed her by the hair, lifting her head and exposing her throat, then slitting it so deep that they cut the vertebrae in the back 1.5 centimeters deep.
Oh, fuck that.
Turning her into what looks like less like a human Pez dispenser, but more like what a human whose head is mid Pac-Man death.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, regret drinking the beers now. Oh, that one hurts.
Sydney and Justin were sleeping upstairs. Now, this is a very strong person, in my opinion, just to cut their head like that. At the scene, there was a black knit navy watch cap was found at the scene, covered in dog hair, human hair, containing fibers from the interior of a Ford Bronco. A bloody glove was left near the body of Ron Goldman. It was an extra large isotoner light glove. Richard Rubin, former executive at Isotoner, said, and I'm paraphrasing this because I didn't feel like writing the whole thing, these gloves were considered quite rare and manufactured in very limited quantity. Inside the bloody glove, there was cotton fibers found that matched the interior of a Ford Bronco. Out of what I imagine 100 fingerprints at the scene, there were 15 that were unidentified. There was bloody footprints and paw prints all around the scene. One of the footprints didn't belong to Nicole Brown or Ron or Kato the dog. They were size 12 Bruno Magli shoes. Only 200 pair of size 12 Bruno Magli shoes were imported across only 5 high-end retail stores. The price tag for these shoes would have been about $160 in 1994 money. So that's about $300 now, $293 now.
Mm-hmm.
There were 4 different DNA types from all the blood drops left at the scene. One of the 4 is thought to be the assailant. 2 others match with Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. One was never actually identified. Sydney and Justin were rushed out of the back door next morning without knowing what had happened. Sydney called her house from the police station, pleading with her mom to call back and explain what happened last night and why they're at the police station. It's a rough night.
Yeah. Who let her make that call? That is cruel.
Yeah.
I have a very queasy stomach in that one. That Pez dispenser bit, that got me.
You have a queasy stomach?
Yeah.
There's photos of this shit and it's bad. They're bad. Like it's more brutal than I thought.
Yeah, I'm not gonna look that up.
It's more brutal. Don't do it. But I mean, if you want to do it, they're not terrible. There's some censored ones. Look for like uncensored ones. It was hard. There's a couple uncensored ones.
All right. So first thought though is like Sydney and Justin are also OJ's
Correct.
kids, right? I don't think after I just brutally killed their mother, I would leave them in the house.
This is kind of where theories do start.
Maybe it was an actual third-degree black belt that was just pissed off that he was a poser.
Could be. They're just like, you can't. It's like ninjas popped in. They're like, show us your 3rd-degree black belt. If you survive this, you get your 4th degree. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nicole just happened to be there to defend the woman.
3rd-degree murder, man.
Okay.
Wasn't planned.
Fair enough. That's an interesting theory. What do you got, RJ? Got anything?
I haven't found the uncensored photos yet.
Oh my God. Don't put it up as your fucking
I
background,
wouldn't
you
do
asshole.
that. These are for me.
I'll send you after. Do you have to see them now, you psycho?
I mean, I guess not right now, but I am worried you'll forget.
All right. I'll just go through a little bit of stuff here. So I don't know if you guys watched any of this, but the main defense theory was, do you guys have any idea? So their theory was
The dog did it?
Yeah, Kato the dog fucked them up.
I know about those size 12 boots, and all 200 pairs were mysteriously sold to some mysterious rich person named Akita. So I think we all know what that means. The dog framed OJ.
Japanese billionaire Illuminati to dog to assassinate him for him. Okay, I'm down.
Yeah.
All right. So the defense's theory on the whole thing was that a drug dealer was looking to collect a debt from Faye Resnick. Johnny Cochran speculated in his opening statements that the debt was to be collected from Faye Resnick, but somehow Nicole and Ron got caught in the crossfire. Resnick was known to do drugs.
The crossfire of the stabbing.
Yeah, the cross stabbing.
Get out of the way. How do you miss so bad? You cut a woman's head off.
I never knew it was that bad. That's what I was going to say. I didn't know. I knew he stabbed them, but I didn't know it was like right to the fucking vertebrae like that. That's fucking crazy.
Right. It wasn't until you said that I remember it being very casually referred to growing up as hearing her head was cut off or whatever, but also knowing her head wasn't cut. It basically was, though, it sounds like.
Yeah, right to the spine. So if you just would have,
but
he stepped on her back too. Like, that's a scary fucking asshole, man. Stepped on her back, lifted her head up. Like, that's the scary guy. That's fucking.
I don't know.
It's one thing to stab someone in the heat of rage and then run away. It's quite the other to go back and fucking like lob someone's head off. That's terrorist shit. That's scary. Fuck.
It was a mean dog.
Yeah, not to keep jumping ahead, but I really don't buy the OJ story after hearing that. I don't know. I don't think you marry somebody, and even if you get divorced, you don't want to fucking like chop their head off like that.
I made it very vague on purpose. I'll go through a couple theories and then we'll see what happens. We'll see who thinks what at the end, because there is a couple really good ones, really fun ones, I find. Resnick was known to do drugs, and she also stayed with Nicole a week before the murders, and then she was admitted into rehab. So that's why she was calling her from rehab, kind of they just lived together. Just after the murders, right after the murders, before the trial, Faye wrote a book. And I'm not telling anybody the name of the fucking book because it's such a piece of shit move for her to like write the book. It was all about her and her friendship with Nicole. It painted them as both rabid cokeheads. And who's the drug dealers, according to Johnny Cochran, trying to kill Faye Resnick? The Colombian cartel.
Shout out to the homies.
The only other time I've seen killings that like what was described, it usually is them in the online videos.
It's true. That or like a reporter in Afghanistan. But what he said that it was the cartel because of the way the bodies were left with Colombian neckties. Now, first of all, Johnny Cochran, that's not a Colombian necktie. The tongue wasn't hanging out the neck throat area. That's how a Colombian necktie is. They take the tongue, they left it through the throat hole. There wasn't that. So fuck you, Johnny Cochran. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to tie the tie. I don't know.
Okay, Suicide Dogs was not this fucking graphic is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, this is guys, come on, this is OJ. This is a big one. Like, I gotta go big.
I don't think you realize how hard this is for me to not throw up right now.
Man, I did not know that.
I have a very, very imaginative mind, and I can literally picture all of it.
It's a lot easier to order a drone strike than it is to talk about it after, right? Anyway.
No, it's easy to talk about. Drone strikes are fine. That's nothing. Yeah.
They're not victims then. They're just collateral damage.
RJ gets it. You're obviously a
Right.
victim. Thank you.
Faye was interviewed by Larry King and Geraldo Rivera in 1996, denying her drug use had anything to do with Nicole and Ron's death. In reality, there's really nothing to this theory. All investigators said that there's like nothing, like zero, to suggest they owed anybody any type of drug debt. This was just a tactic for Johnny Cochran and F. Lee Bailey to get their client off. With the brutal nature of the crime and the fact drug cartels don't mess around, it was a good tactic to add reasonable doubt to a jury. Fortunately, Judge Lancito, who presided over the case for the murder of both Brown and Goldman, didn't allow Cochran to cross-examine any witnesses to the drug use of Faye Resnick. In California, there must be direct or circumstantial evidence to bring a third party to the crime in question. There was no evidence of a dealer, no one Nicole or Faye owed money to, nothing. It was all speculation. So this theory does explain the brutalness of the crime, but that's legitimately about it. Everything else doesn't really make sense. It could be, but I mean, it would be so far-fetched. They would have to figure out, like, how much money do you owe a drug dealer? And you're making like $10K a month. I don't think, like, fuck, how much in debt were you? You know, how much cocaine can your little 30-year-old nose take? I don't know.
White woman living in LA in the 90s.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's not underestimate her.
The next one's my favorite one, and I never heard, like, it's because I never heard it before. OJ hired serial killer Glenn Edward Rogers. Yeah. People believe that OJ hired serial killer Glenn Rogers, also known as the cross-country killer, to steal back some jewelry from Nicole and bring it back to him. Obviously, he didn't know he was a serial killer. He just thought it was some guy.
I thought he just looked up serial killers in the yellow pages.
Yeah. No. He just thought it was some guy he hired, but it ended up being a serial killer.
Craigslist is fucking wild.
1995, Craigslist was the back pages of some fucking magazine, which is even scarier than Craigslist.
Yeah. Need your ex-wife murdered?
Do you want to make your ex-wife a Pez dispenser? Click here now.
Yeah, you're clicking a magazine. No, I want it.
So, and then he said to steal her some jewelry and bring it back to him. And then he also stipulated to Glenn Rogers that if Nicole gets in the way, kill her too, which he did and which he followed through with. So Rogers has also been convicted of killing 2 people and suspected of killing 3 more. Rogers' brother Clay says that his brother confessed the killing of Ron and Nicole to him on death row. And he says this as a quote: he's absolutely certain his brother killed Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. Absolutely certain. Okay. Now, does this hold any weight? Well, there is documentation of Glenn living in LA at the time of the as a house painter. Clay Rogers also claims that weeks before the murder, his brother claimed he was hanging out with Nicole Brown Simpson and he was going to actually kill her. So his brother doesn't sound like fucking too much better. He was telling everyone that, yeah, I'm going to kill this girl, Nicole Simpson.
I don't know anything about Glenn Rogers. Does that mean, because that fit with his MO? Does he go after young women, or what's his?
He was like an opportunity killer. So he needed stuff and he would kill them. Like, he traveled across the country, like, oh, I need a hotel room. I'm going to kill the lady who bought it. And, you know what I mean? Like, he was an opportunity guy.
So then what was his opportunity from Nicole?
Getting money from OJ. Yeah.
She was gonna let him
what
drive
are the
the
chances
Ferrari
that this guy
and
just
wanted to
was a
keep it?
painter, happened to be hanging out with her, and then OJ just so happened to hire him? I don't know. That just
no. I'll keep going through it here.
What's the opportunity there? Like, I don't see how that matches.
He wasn't.
Up.
He went on a serial killing after the alleged OJ thing. So that would have been his first kills. And then he would have moved on right after that. Like, his next kills would have been.
Oh, but his victim profile is 1 elderly man and 4 women aged 33 to 37. So she definitely fit the description of the 4 women.
For sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you read on, he's not a very interesting serial killer. Most serial killers are boring, actually. There's only like 6 or 7 that are really interesting. The rest are just like pieces of shit who kill fucking sex workers. You know what I mean? Like, oh, big deal. Fun, not really. It's the Bundys out there that like escape prison twice. That shit's fun. It's not the killing of people. It's what they did in between, right?
Yeah.
So Glenn Rogers also met with criminal profiler Anthony Mioli for the documentary My Brother, the Serial Killer. Roger told Mioli and provided a detailed account of the murder. Rogers even went as far as drawing a knife that matches what the forensics people said the knife would have looked like. Glenn Rogers had also confessed to over 70 killings in his lifetime, and then he recanted, saying he didn't kill anyone at all. So this guy doesn't really sound like a very reliable person. Even though I think it's fun, it doesn't address all the other evidence, like fucking DNA doesn't match, shoes aren't the same, hair fibers, the crime scene don't match, didn't have a Bronco. There's like a million things that don't go along with it, except for I was a house painter and told my brother. So Rogers was captured actually in 1995, and he received the death penalty in both California and Florida. But Florida gets to kill him. He's still not dead though. But Florida gets the honors.
Damn.
So hopefully he dies soon.
Man, I thought between those two states, he'd have been like electrocuted and gassed.
Yeah.
Like they would have like nailed him and then just shipped the body somewhere else to fry.
Well, these are on different sides of the country, right? Florida and California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say let's meet at the border, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Let's meet in Louisiana.
There's another theory here that is mentioned a lot on the internet, so I have to mention it. I'm not going to even go into it more than this sentence, but I'm saying it. The Illuminati. All right. OJ was under mind control by the Illuminati, and he killed them. So,
Always an option. Always an option.
yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. It's horseshit. It's always there. If we can always add Illuminati to whatever we're trying to solve as a theory. We could always.
That's true. Why didn't you pay your credit card payment? Illuminati, pal.
All right, so the next theory is OJ did it. Orenthal James didn't. Was it because of his CTE they think he has? He can't stop his rage? Maybe, but the only way you find out about that is through an autopsy. So when OJ dies, we'll find out if he had CTE. He's a 75-year-old man now and seems to be keeping his temper under control, so maybe not, but who knows?
Yeah, which indicates to me he probably doesn't, because I can't imagine that the longevity is beyond 75 for most CTE victims. Yeah.
But there is a big part of this being OJ couldn't help himself because CTE. He's got brain OJ did it, but it's CTE's fault, not OJ's fault. And I'm not down with that. I don't like it. Mental illness doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole. It gives you an excuse to go fix yourself or go get help. It doesn't give you
it doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole, but it is a pretty tidy rationalization.
Sure. I just don't buy it on OJ. I don't think OJ was
me neither.
I don't think he was clobbered enough to get CT, but maybe football's a motherfucker. It hurts your head. So
yeah.
So let's get into OJ and Nicole a little bit here. So OJ and Nicole, like I said earlier, did not have a healthy marriage. I didn't really tell you why. I just mentioned it. They were always yelling and screaming at each other. He would cheat on her and she would find out, and then she would always confront him about it. When she got pregnant, OJ said he slept with other women because Nicole got too fat. During their marriage and after their marriage, Nicole called 911 on OJ beating her. So she made 8 calls to the 911 about OJ.
Damn.
He was only arrested once for these calls. January 1st, 1989, an officer came to the Simpson estate to find Nicole huddled in the bushes, barely clothed and beaten, telling the officer, "He's going to kill me." The beating left Nicole with a cut lip, blackened left eye and cheek, and a handprint on her neck. She also complained to the officer that they never do anything when they come. They just go talk to him and let him leave. And she was right. He was friends with and golfed with most of the police in Brentwood. These guys were his friends. Juice was their buddy. When the cops were there the night of the beating, he came outside claiming it was a family matter and they should just leave him and Nicole alone.
Yeah, he probably gave him some tickets to the 49ers game and they were like, "All right, we'll see you, buddy. We'll just let you handle this internally."
Even better. The cops said that they were going to arrest him, and OJ went, "No, you're not." And he got in his car and drove away. I'm serious.
Awesome.
I'm guessing that after this whole thing, he threatened Nicole.
Just saying, for a black guy in the 90s, that's a huge fucking flex.
Oh, for sure. He was so out of the black community though. I don't even want to get into the politics of the whole thing, but OJ was a fucking white guy. Let's just be honest. All right.
Well, it's a class thing at that point. It's not about yes, that always is a factor, but once money's involved like that, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. He moved out of the shitty part of town into the rich white part of town and blended in, right? Mm-hmm. He went in there. He wasn't anyways, I don't, like I said, I tried to stay out of the politics of the whole thing, but OJ, So
coward.
Yeah. I think OJ after this threatened Nicole with cutting her off from money or whatever, because she didn't press charges. She told the police she didn't want to press charges. And then she called the president of Hertz to personally tell him that the beating didn't happen. So OJ wouldn't lose his contract with Hertz car rentals. But she did take photos. I'm serious. OJ must have scared the shit out of her.
No, I know. It's just so funny. He's beating her and he's concerned about his Hertz contract. Like, it's a little too tidy.
Yeah,
I like
a piece
it.
of shit. So she took photos of her injuries and put them into a safety deposit box that was opened after her death. OJ pled no contest to spousal abuse because once they went there and they made the report, they had to push it up the chain. They couldn't just drop it. So he pleaded no contest to spousal abuse, and his sentence was 120 hours of community service and to pay a $470 fine, and then he would be on probation for 2 years. Since OJ was OJ, he didn't have to go to the volunteer centers. He just raised money for Ronald McDonald House. I tried to find this.
Wait a minute. Can anybody do that?
No.
Can anybody do their community service as me just raising money?
No. But OJ used a celebrity to, and I heard this on a podcast. I couldn't find the source for it. So I'm going to say it anyway, but I don't know how 100% true it is. But the fundraiser was a celebrity golf tournament with his buddies. So his 120 hours of service ended up being a golf trip with his pals.
That is the most like baller shit. Like,
I love anyone that can find loopholes. I'm sorry. That's just awesome. Like,
no, that's why it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you have to pay your debt to society. What's that? 120 hours of community service.
Fuck it, bottle service.
Easily that many golf games lined up. I'll give all the money to the kid.
Ronald McDonald House. There's some poor kids out there, right? All right. Anyways, the reasoning behind it was the judge and the prosecutors thought that the normal route for serial abusers is therapy, a year in spousal abuse therapy, then some group therapy. All that stuff would have actually screwed with his schedule because he was a famous OJ who had lots of famous OJ stuff to do.
Right. Naturally, as a rich person.
He'd be damned if the juice will be interrupted. We have to accommodate him for beating his wife.
But what are we going to do? Ruin one of America's treasured actors and sports people?
Exactly.
Not in this country.
It's so important. He's a hero.
There is actually accounts of OJ after the divorce. I'm kind of jumping past here, but after the divorce, there's accounts that OJ revealed to Nicole that he had spied on her having a sexual encounter. So he was lurking outside of her house and watching her give a blowy, apparently.
Well, she should have thought about that.
You don't get blowjobs in your new house by yourself with a new guy. Who do you think you are?
Someone's about to get their head cut off.
Yeah, exactly. So I did tell you they were trying to reconcile the relationship, and it fell through around 1993. Some reports have it at 94. Who cares? They tried. It fell through. Big deal. But I think this was the 911 call that broke the camel's back. OJ, this is a very famous 911 call. It's probably the most famous 911 call in the world ever because it's been played on national television so much.
911 emergency.
Can you get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green? He's back. Please.
Well, okay, what does he look like?
He's O.J. Simpson. I think you know his record. Could you just send somebody over here?
Okay, what is he doing there?
He just drove up again.
He just drove
somebody
up.
over.
Okay, wait a minute. What kind of car is he in?
He's in a white Bronco, but first of all, he broke the back door down to get in.
Okay, wait a minute. What's your name?
Nicole Simpson.
Okay, is he the sportscaster or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Wait a minute. We're sending the police. What is he doing? Is he threatening you?
I'm going nuts.
Okay, has he threatened you in any way, or is he just harassing you?
You're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in again.
Okay, just stay on the line.
I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit.
Wait a minute. Wait, just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there, okay?
Okay, pause it there. I just wanted to show you, like, she literally said, like, I've called on him before. You know his record. Just fucking come here.
Did she call the dispatchers or did she call direct to the police?
911.
Okay. Her assumption that they're definitely going to know who it is, I mean, that's not really how that works.
She's living in terror. She's not, it's Brentwood, dude. There's not many 911 calls coming in. It's not like downtown Detroit. It's a very high affluent place. The 911 calls are few and far between. I'm sure probably the same dispatcher talked to her before.
I firmly doubt that because those places are the ones where they call 911 for people who didn't rake their leaves right.
Yeah, but I don't mean that way. I mean like no one's calling 911 for their husband's beating. Like there's not that much fucking crazy shit.
Excuse me, my husband committed violence on me. What did he do, ma'am? He forgot my birthday, but then tried to make up for it after I reminded him. I would like to press charges.
So she ends up hanging up from that phone call. All right. And then she calls again after OJ, because OJ leaves for a second, but I guess she thought he'd left, but he really hadn't. So she calls back again, and then this is like press play from here.
Okay, Nicole? Just a moment. Does he have any weapons?
I don't know.
Okay.
He went home and now he's back. The
Okay.
kids are upstairs sleeping and I don't want anything to happen.
Okay. Has he hit you today or no?
No.
Okay, you don't need any paramedics or anything? Okay. You just want him to
Closed
leave?
my door. He broke the whole back door in. What?
What does he say?
What he always does.
Unit, your domestic violence at 30 Crescent 325 South Grizzly Greenway is too high. The suspect is now entered in the shelter and it is refusing to leave. It's code too high. Incident 4221 RD 825. Children involved. Just stay on the line, okay? Is he upset with something that you did?
A long time ago, it always comes back.
So OJ comes in, like OJ's fucking losing it. She has him on 911. OJ's in the background fucking losing it. And if you couldn't understand what she was saying there, she was just like explaining like OJ's a psycho. OJ does psycho shit all the time. I just want him to fuck off. And OJ's ranting and raving behind her. And what he says here is, we were okay. OJ, he refers to himself in the third person, which I find hilarious. OJ worked his ass off for this family. For Keith, he's a drug addict. His girlfriend is a Heidi Fleece girl. He's losing his shit because she dated this guy named Keith.
Is that Keith in the corner there?
No. I don't, maybe in the screen. I didn't see it. Maybe. It doesn't really matter. He's just Keith Zlomowicz is who he's talking about. And he's the manager of the Mezzaluna. So where Ron worked. All right. And they dated in 1992. This is the guy OJ saw Nicole blowing or fucking or whatever it ended up being. This 911 call was 8 months just before her death.
Yeah, he did it.
The night before the recital, Paula Barbieri, OJ's year-long on and off girlfriend, broke up with OJ through a voicemail message. She was just on his arm the night before, on the 11th of June at a red tie event. So on June 12th, the night of the murder, he goes to the recital by himself and he sees Nicole looking good and doing well without him, surrounded by friends and family. He's a lonesome little douchebag, no girlfriend, who just broke up with him. And then she says, "Don't come to supper with us." So OJ was pissed about this. I guarantee it. He was already rejected earlier that day by his girlfriend, broken up with, and then he's rejected again at the recital. You don't reject the Jews. And also, this is the 12th. That's the night of the murder. Would all this bad news for OJ in one day make him go to the house? And then Ron shows up, right? Then he sees Ron and thinks like, you're fucking another young guy. Ron fights, but OJ's a fucking world-class athlete. I don't give a fuck what they said at court about him.
That's the word I couldn't remember when I said sports people person.
Yeah, OJ's a fucking top of the game athlete. He was saying all through the trial that his arthritis was bad and his knees hurt. I'm sorry, 25-year-old surfer boy Ron had no chance against 225-pound of muscle OJ Simpson.
Well, right. So he did Ron, but then all those injuries came when he was leaning to bend over to cut Nicole's head off. So he threw his back out. His arthritis flared up on the knife stroke. So he wasn't lying.
And then he kills Ron. Then he walks over to Nicole, lifts her fucking head to see Ron dying there and says something fucked up before she dies, like, "This fuck boy is the reason your kids don't have a mom," and then slice.
The day of that 911 call, did the police actually show up?
Yes, they did.
And OJ was still there?
OJ left. OJ was ranting outside and then he left. He was talking to Kato outside for a little bit. Then he just fucked off. But you could hear OJ ranting in the background. It's not like he wasn't there and they just couldn't arrest him because he didn't do anything except for break the door. He paid for the door after, he apologized, and then that was the end of that.
Did you say he was talking to the dog?
He was talking. No, he was I see what you did there. No, he was talking to Kato Kalin, the actual man who was living in the guest house outside.
Is that the full dog's name?
No, it's just Kato. Kato Kalin. Brian Kato Kalin is the little douchebag who they named the dog after. I know you know this.
Oh, I thought the dog's name was Kato Kalin, the actual man living in the guest house
I
outside.
also thought that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Kato Kalin's a buddy of his. Or it's actually Nicole's friend. And he
Right.
lived with Nicole.
I got it. I'm just being
No,
a
I
prick.
get that, but this is actually an interesting thing. He was
No.
Nicole's friend, not OJ's friend. But when OJ and Nicole broke up, he was renting that apartment from her, like the extra room. And OJ found out, and he was like, "This isn't appropriate for you to be living with my ex-wife, so you can come live on my beach house for free and don't bother paying your $500 rent anymore." So OJ was that possessive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kato Kalin would have had it made. He would have been in the next Naked Gun movie had there not been any murders. He would have been doing something now.
He still is, man. I don't know. I mean, I think that the murder is the only reason he had any kind of publicity. But he had like a huge lawsuit that he won or settled in or something afterwards. He's a millionaire anyways.
Oh, I'm sure he's doing fine for himself.
He's loaded. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a couple things before the whole murder. Like he was in some like, those like after, Bleu Nuit is, or Red Shoe Diaries. They're old school, like late night TV shows that would be on like Showtime that were basically porn because the internet didn't exist. So you had like titties out and like some pubes, like you'd get pubes after 11, and be like,
incredible.
Yeah, and guess who? And David Duchovny hosted fucking Red Shoe Diaries. He was like the guy telling the stories.
Damn.
Yeah, oh yeah. Duchovny's been a pimp forever.
Damn. Did they show Gillian Anderson's titties?
I wish. God damn it, I love Gillian Anderson. Nothing better than a fucking.
Is that why you know so much about it?
Oh, I loved. How do I know so much about it? I'm from that era. I didn't have internet.
I
had to jerk off to these late night shows. You think I was a teenager during these times? I didn't get to go to YouPorn like you got to. You were spoiled as a child. I had to find my porno in bushes in the middle of the bush somewhere in a ditch or on late night TV shows, HBO Spank Wank Times. That's all I got.
I feel like the latter part should have happened way more often than the former. But somehow looking at you, I feel like it was mostly the former.
Yeah.
And that's by choice.
Yeah, it's because I live in ditches.
Yeah. Just crawling around naked in the woods as a 13-year-old. What are you doing, kid? I'm horny. Lay off of me.
I'm looking for titties.
Hunting.
So he cuts Nicole's throat, gets back into his Bronco, heads home, where his limo driver, Alan Park, has been waiting since 10:25 for OJ to come out so he can make his flight to Chicago. Park then sees a tall man dressed in black enter the Rockingham estate from the back driveway. He's got two driveways, one in the front, one in the back. So he sees a tall guy walk through to the front, which everyone assumes is OJ. Park goes up to the house because he doesn't want OJ to be late, buzzes the door. OJ answers and tells Park he overslept. Park rushes him to the airport, and OJ is on his way to Chicago by 11:45. The bodies are found around 12:10 a.m., June 13th, and by 5 a.m., police are at OJ's house to make sure he's okay. They don't live far apart from each other. Like I said, 4 kilometers, which is 2 miles, I think, in American. And they were just scared that, since the ex-wife was just murdered, maybe OJ was the real target. So let's go check on OJ. They didn't even have any suspect to him, right? So when they get there, detectives see blood on the door handle of OJ's Bronco, and then they have probable cause to jump the wall to make sure OJ's okay because they see some blood. Like, obviously, that's a good reason to jump, right? OJ's not around, but they find more blood stains on the driveway, and OJ's guest, Brian Kato Kalin, told the detectives to search behind a guest house as he was scared of some big bumps he heard a bit earlier. So Kato was giving the police permission to go give it a little bit more of a search. The detectives found another bloody glove at the OJ estate that matched the one at the Bundy crime scene. The detectives declare that the Rockingham estate a crime scene and wait for a warrant. By 10:45, so about 3 or 4 hours later, they have a warrant and they find more blood traces on the property and inside of the Bronco. By noon, OJ is back after being informed of Nicole's death. He is handcuffed and taken to the police station where he is questioned. When OJ is told that Nicole is dead, OJ's reaction is upset, but he never actually asked the police how or where or when. He just seemed upset. All right. Also, he asked the police if the kids saw the body, not if they were hurt. Sydney and Justin were sleeping upstairs. During the questioning by the LAPD, it was noticed that OJ had a cut on his hand. He couldn't remember how he got it, but he definitely said he got it that day. He also gave the LAPD some of his blood to test against the blood at the scene. So DNA was very new at the time. I'm pretty sure OJ's trial was the first time they ever used DNA in any type of trial in a big way. So I don't think he was scared of that. On June 16th, 2 days after, OJ takes his two kids to their mother's funeral, to the shock and awe of everyone else. On June 17th, the DNA from the crime scene comes back matching OJ in so many different places. The police issue a warrant for OJ's arrest and agrees to turn himself in by 11 a.m. He doesn't. He'd been staying at his friend's house and also one of his defense attorney's house, Rob Kardashian. The police go to Robert's house looking for OJ, but OJ and his longtime friend Al A.C. Collins had disappeared. So by 2 p.m., OJ is declared a fugitive and an APB is put out for him. 5 p.m., Robert Kardashian reads a note to the press that OJ left at his house. Okay, first of all, pause it. We can just pause it for a second. Look at Robert Kardashian. What a fucking stud, eh? Look at that little skunk thing he's got on his forehead there. I don't even know if that's purposeful or if that's like an accident. But look at it. God damn it. No? All right.
Yeah, I'm not getting the same hard on you are. Sorry.
All right, play.
Yeah. Maybe if he was in a sex video with a rapper.
Was written by OJ today. To whom it may concern. First, everyone understand I have nothing to do with Nicole's murder. I loved her, always have, and always will. If we had a problem, it's because I loved her so much. Recently, we came to the understanding that for now, we were not right for each other, at least for now. Despite our love, we were different, and that's why we mutually agreed to go our separate ways. It was tough splitting for a second time, but we both knew it was for the best. Inside, I had no doubt that in the future we would be close friends or more. Unlike what has been written in the press, Nicole and I had a great relationship for most of our lives together. Like all long-term relationships, we had a few downs and ups. I took the heat New Year's 1989 because that's what I was supposed to do. I did not plead no contest for any other reason but to protect our privacy, and was advised it would end the press hype. I don't want to belabor knocking the press but I can't believe what is being said. Most of it is totally made up. I know you have a job to do, but as a last wish, please, please, please leave my children in peace. Their lives will be tough enough. I want to send my love and thanks to all my friends. I'm sorry I can't name every one of you, especially AC. Man, thanks for being in my life. The support and friendship I received from so many, Wayne Hughes, Louis Marks, Frank Olson, Mark Packer, Bender, Bobby Kardashian. I wish we had spent more time together in recent years. My golfing buddies, Ross Alan Austin, Mike, Craig, Bender, Weiler, Sandy, Jay, Donnie, thanks for the fun. All my teammates over the years. Reggie, you were soul of my pro career. Ahmad, I never stopped being proud of you. Marcus, you got a great lady in Catherine. Don't mess it up.
Don't kill her.
Bobby Chandler, thanks for always being there. Skip and Kathy, I love you guys. Without you, I never would have made it through this far. Marguerite, thanks for the early years. We had some fun. Paula, what can I say? You are special. I'm sorry, we're not going to have our chance. God brought you to me. I now see, as I leave, you'll be in my thoughts. I think of my life and feel I've done most of the right things. So why do I end up like this? I can't go on. No matter what the outcome, people will look.
Anyways,
and point.
There's not much left to it. You can stop there.
I can't take that. I can't subject.
I just wanted you guys.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I just wanted you guys to see how much that sounds like a suicide note. Also,
why would they not proofread it before somebody read it on live television?
That's what I was gonna say. Also, it highlighted a few things. OJ wasn't a good writer, and Robert Kardashian wasn't a good reader. So he was having such a hard time.
Damn, that was like a marathon of illiteracy. That was wild.
So much stupidity, right? But like that sounded like OJ was going to kill himself. His mom was at the press conference. She passed out when that happened. She heard it and she was like, he's going to kill himself. And she fucking fell over. And scary, right? Then,
oh yeah,
that's when the famous Bronco chase happens. Helicopters were looking for AC's white Bronco. It wasn't OJ's white Bronco he was in, because OJ's was at the police station full of blood. And AC bought the same fucking car as OJ, which I found was fucking like, what kind of a douchebag are you? So at 5:51, but less than an hour after the thing was read at the press conference, a person on the freeway saw OJ and called the police. There is a 911 call for it, but I'm not going to bother. I didn't feel like it. He says that it looks like OJ's in the car next to me, and the guy's like, really? Like, oh my God, they're all looking for him. AC then calls 911 and pleads with them just to let OJ go home and see his mother. He says OJ has a gun to his head. This chase, I don't know if you guys know much about it, but it was the most watched thing on television that year. 95 million viewers. All right, just to put that in perspective, 90 million viewers for the Super Bowl that year. They actually interrupted Game 5 of the NBA Finals with the Knicks and Rockets to watch the fucking slow speed chase. Domino's Pizza had record sales for that day.
3 pizzas?
Yeah. It was during the Noid advertisement years too, so they're like, Jesus Christ. We sold 4 pizzas. People were actually gathering over overpasses with signs encouraging OJ to continue going, with the slogan from his Hertz thing, "Go OJ, go." Yeah. All while officials were pleading with OJ to stop. Detective Lang, who was one of the detectives that was looking through OJ's house, he remembered that he had OJ's cell phone number from that interview and calls up OJ. OJ says a few more suicidal things to him. Just over 2 hours, the chase was done as he arrives at his estate, to his son Jason waving and gesturing wildly. OJ went inside the estate holding a framed picture of his family after 45 minutes of sitting in the idle Bronco. He went inside, spoke with his mom, and he's said to have had a glass of orange juice. What a douchebag. I don't know if you guys know much about serial killers, but BTK, Dennis Rader, do you guys know who that guy is? Yeah. He used to go into people's cupboards and eat cereal because he was a serial killer. That's what he said. He was like, I'm hilarious. Like, he's a douchebag. OJ going to drink orange juice. You can go fuck yourself, OJ.
I think that's kind of funny, honestly. Like, if I was a serial killer and it's like you're kind of like breaking the fourth wall and then you're also eating some of their food, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, well, you would like Dennis Rader. He's the biggest dink there is.
Yeah. I like big dinks. I cannot lie.
That was the one that kept everything on a church computer, right?
Yeah, and then that's how he got caught. He asked the police, he's like, can you guys, like, if I erase stuff on a floppy disk, can you guys trace that? And they're like, no, we can't, Dennis. no, we can't. And he went, okay, good. And then he sent them a fucking floppy disk and it brought him right back to the church. What a fucking moron. About an hour inside, around 10 p.m., Robert Shapiro, one of his lawyers, arrives, and OJ surrenders minutes later. In the car, the Bronco, AC's Bronco, they find $8,000 in cash, a disguise with a fake mustache and a goatee for OJ, his passport, and a gun.
Was it Ron Goldman's mustache?
Yeah, it's just a big tippy mustache. They'll think I'm Ron Goldman.
Or Fred Goldman.
They'll think I'm Fred Goldman. So he was like trying to escape with a fucking goatee. Like, what a psycho.
Incredible. You know, because his head was so fucking big too that it didn't fit right. So like a normal person, fake goatee was just like a soul patch for him.
It's like the reverse of when your like 6-year-old tries to dress up in your suit. It's just the opposite. It's like you trying to get in your 6-year-old suit.
Yeah, it's a whole goatee, but it's only right here on the bottom of his chin.
It doesn't even go around his mouth yet. Just goes around his chin, his butt chin. Oh fuck yeah. So here's all the OJ, the evidence they have against OJ. Okay, so the footprints match fancy Italian Bruno Magli's that OJ owned. There are photos with him wearing the same pair. So much DNA evidence. The defense will tell you that the DNA evidence is planned because they took that vial from OJ at the police station and it was 8 ounces of blood or whatever the fuck it was. But when they finally got it 4 days later, the chain of custody didn't follow the blood properly. They only had 6 ounces of blood. Okay, maybe. I fucking doubt it, okay?
Yeah.
The drops, okay, I'll hear it. So there's blood drops found at the gate of the murder scene near the bloody shoe footprints at the scene. Blood drops match OJ's genetic markers. The gloves, one at the crime scene and one at his house, both covered in blood. Both OJ and the victim's blood profiles on the gloves. There's pictures of him wearing these fucking gloves at sports commentating things for ESPN. And the whole fucking if your glove doesn't fit, you must acquit thing is stupid because OJ is trying to put on gloves like he's never put gloves on before. Like he's just first time seeing gloves. I don't know if you've ever seen this video, but he's like holding his hands open like this, trying to jam on gloves. Nobody wears gloves like that, OJ.
Right. Well, he's also arthritic and your shit gets all like swollen and shit.
Yeah, Shapiro is said to have told him to stop taking his arthritis medicine, and we're going to taunt. They basically taunted. They also taunt the defense attorneys said, "I dare you to make OJ try and wear the glove," and that's what fucking what's his name did. I forget his name right now. Chris, whatever, Darden got taunted by them when I'll make him put them on. There's also many other theories why he couldn't fit the glove. It was in cold storage, frozen for so much. It was soaked in blood. There were there's so many different reasons he had to wear a glove, like a latex glove over his hand to not fuck with the evidence on the glove to put the glove on. That all these things combined, like obviously OJ's not going to fucking fit in the glove. He didn't even try to put the glove on properly to begin with. Plus all this other shit.
Right.
So like, okay, there was a hair on the hat that they found at the crime scene. It matched OJ's hair. There was hair on Ron Goldman's shirt that also matched OJ's. There was bloody socks found in OJ's bedroom that matched Nicole Brown's DNA. Jill Shively saw a white Bronco speed off so quickly from the crime scene around the time of the murder that it almost hit another car. She sold her story to National Enquirer for $5,000, so they couldn't admit it into evidence. They also couldn't admit the Bronco, the slow speed car chase, or the Robert Kardashian note to evidence because so many people had seen it. So they said it would fuck up the jury. But whatever. They didn't put that shit in the court case either, which makes them look fucking guilty as shit. There's many allegations of police misconduct in this case, but there's too many raw facts to say it wasn't OJ. The DNA alone nowadays would just sink anyone. You'd be on death row. I'm not going to go over the full trial. I said that earlier just because I want to keep the politics out of it. I just want to put the facts out there. Okay. The defense attorneys claimed, I'm just going to say this. The defense attorneys claimed that all the evidence was fudged because the police were all corrupt and wanted to make black people go to jail. I'm going to say like maybe one or two pieces of evidence, but like every piece of evidence that came out, doubt it. I think OJ did it. That's where I'm at. There's a couple more theories still though. So what'd you guys think of OJ?
I'm leaning towards him. Still can't really shake off the dog. So
yeah, I have no theories besides OJ did it at this point. I mean, you had me in the first half, but based on all the evidence that I heard, OJ definitely did it.
Yeah, and the rogue investigating I've done prior to ever even having met you guys leads me to believe it was someone else anyways.
Yeah. So the next one's OJ's oldest kid. That's the next theory. Jason.
Yeah.
And this is a widely believed one because DNA isn't what it is now. Okay. There was 4 sets of DNA at this crime scene. One of them was never figured out who it was. The second part of that is that there was fingerprints, 15 that were unidentified. And OJ really stressed on the kid, leave my kids alone. Do you remember that? Jason Simpson, OJ's oldest, with first wife Marguerite being the actual murderer, is one of the big theories. William Deere wrote a whole book named OJ is Innocent and I Can Prove It, where he claims he has evidence that no one has ever seen and points towards Jason being the killer. Jason and Nicole didn't get along while she was alive. They were always constantly fighting. He was in his 20s when he actually was married to his dad. She was closer to age to him than to OJ. Her friend Kris Jenner said that Nicole opened up about her marital problems with OJ, and one of the major problems was that her and Jason weren't getting along. So this is corroborated in a couple places. Jason was an adult. I think he was 25 when this happened. So he was the same age as Ron. At the time of the murders, Jason was on probation for a 1992 assault with a deadly weapon charge. He had attacked his boss with a kitchen knife and beat him pretty badly, putting him in the hospital. He got 2 years probation for this after pleading down to disturbing the peace charge. Rich kid. This was actually the 4th time Jason had been arrested and the 2nd time being arrested for knife-related crimes. He stabbed one of his ex-girlfriends so bad he almost killed her. He also cut off a piece of her hair with the knife after he was done. I couldn't figure out when exactly this happened. It's only coming from this William Deere guy from all I could see.
By piece of her hair, did you mean he stopped here when he was cutting, or was he cutting from here?
Yeah, from near the neck or up near the scalp.
Yeah. Was he cutting her hair from the throat here all the way to the vertebrae to get a piece of hair, or
going right from the front of the neck back? Yeah.
Gotcha. You froze at the best point, by the way.
Why?
Because I thought you were confused by what I was saying because you were like this for a good 30 seconds.
The other 2 charges Jason had were DUI, and one was a DUI and the other was driving with a suspended license. None of the unidentified prints at the scene were ever tested against Jason or any of his siblings, really. They never tested any of the kids for anything. There was also DNA under Nicole's fingernails and on her back that didn't belong to OJ, Nicole, or Ron, and Jason was also never tested for that. The Navy style beanie that was found at the scene covered in dog hair, there's literally pictures of him on the internet wearing the exact same hat right beside a dog. OJ didn't own a dog. Jason did. And the pictures of him months after the murder, they have the same style beanie he's wearing, Jason, except for it's just a different color. It's like a beige color instead of blue. Other Jason evidence. Deere rummaged through Jason's trash in 1998 through 2001, and he found a prescription bottle for Depakote, Depakote. I don't know how to say it. Deere says this is a med for intermittent rage disorder, which is also called Jekyll and Hyde disorder, but I don't know how he gets there. It can also be used to treat seizures or headaches. Maybe he had seizures and headaches. I don't know. Jason also went to the doctors at a certain point at Mount Sinai when he stopped taking the drug, and he filled out a medical form that I guess Deere got, and it said he on the thing Jason wrote, like, what's your symptoms? He wrote, I feel like I'm going to go into a rage. Jason was working at a restaurant called Jackson's at the time of the murder. Jason couldn't attend Sydney's dance recital that day because he was sous chefing that night at his restaurant, Jackson's. So instead of going to the recital, he had actually suggested to Nicole that her and her family go to his restaurant after the recital, which she said she would go, but then later changed her mind the day of the recital, telling Jason that his restaurant was, quote, too expensive. There's also accounts that Nicole just didn't tell Jason at all. She just stood him up and didn't go to the restaurant.
I would have hated to have been the fucking prosecution during this case because there are so many fucking leads. Like, I prefer the cases where there's like no leads and you have to make it up, like the last case that we did. This one, it's like there's so many paths to follow that you just get so distracted you don't know what the fuck to do.
And the prosecution had a hard job because they were also fighting against like the whole Rodney King thing that just happened 2 years before. They were trying to like I said, I don't want to get into the fucking politics of the whole thing, but this whole thing was like at the end of the whole trial.
Hold up for 1 second. I understand that. The color of skin is not political. It's not politics.
When you're, yes, it is. It completely is. Are you kidding me?
Well,
100% not.
100%
I don't know what it's like over in Canada, but that is
when you're talking about an entire institution not caring about someone's color of their skin, that's politics.
it can be political. I understand
That is politics.
yes.
That's exactly what they did. They politicized this whole thing.
I don't think institutional racism is politics. I understand why it might seem like that, but I don't think it is. I think they are two completely discontented discontented things, because politics is more of a, like, I don't want to say an idea because racism is also an idea, but like a choice and a mindset, like your ideology versus I don't know, maybe I'm talking myself into it.
It is though. It's completely politics. It's completely in this.
I love the effort put in, and then Richard's just like, no.
No, but if
I don't know, maybe I'm on his side. Maybe it's politics at this point.
At this point, it has been made that way, but it's like calling coronavirus politics now.
Okay, wait.
It's
this is not what I'm saying. Yeah. Race is not politics. You're correct. What they did in this, using race in this case, was all politics.
They used it
as a tool. That's a very cogent way of putting it.
Yes. Yeah, they use race as a tool in politics, and they do the same thing with COVID. So that, I think that's fair.
They took this, Rodney King and all the beatings from the police, and they took that to get OJ off. Like they used that political landscape of what was going on at the time.
They exploited it. I just want to clarify something, and then the only reason I even bring it up is because when people equate systemic racism with politics over here in America, they're generally wearing a red hat that wants to make it great again. So
I'm
that's not, I know that's not you. I'm just saying, like, that's usually the vibe it gives off.
I'm not saying like just the whole system is a political move. No, what I'm saying is this case was all politics. It was not based on facts. If this was based on facts, he'd be in fucking jail. Like,
right. I see much more where you're coming from, just for the listeners' sake, so that they don't think you also have a separate podcast
for all three Americans that listen to this.
Yes.
They were sequestered for like a year, like the jurors, and they were like, there's so much crazy shit. I don't even want to, like, they got Jay Leno to go to their hotel because they couldn't watch TV or anything, to perform stand-up to them, the 12 jurors, or the 24 with the extras. Jay Leno just did a personal show to them because Lancito was like, they're not entertained. Like, there was so much fucked up, like, crazy shit.
We need to do something to make their lives worse. Let's put Jay Leno. We'll make them sit through an hour and a half of Jay Leno.
I hope. Anyways, I'm getting
no commercials, no break,
no breathing room. Just lispy big chin hackery.
And now, Pez dispensers.
No, but he made a mockery of it on his show too. He had like the dancing Edos. You remember this shit? Like, anyways, he this whole court case was like
2 years old.
I don't know how old you think I am. I don't remember any of that.
Well, I don't know how much you looked at. I've like looked into this in your life. I don't know.
I'm the age where anything that happened prior to 2001, I only know about through references in other media that are made.
I gotcha.
Like,
he meant
Family
to say
Guy.
9/11. Listen, this podcast doesn't step around that, RJ. You can say 9/11 here. We've established that.
Oh, I would just mean that's when I finally became a conscious human being. I think that's when most millennials became conscious human beings.
It's pretty interesting what they could accomplish with slaves in America back in the day. Anyways, moving on. I broke you guys.
Thought we weren't going to talk about politics anymore, Richard. I don't want to hear about your politics.
So you do have a red hat.
He's got all the reason we're doing this one, and the reason he knows so much about it is he has a really dedicated second podcast, but it's all about Mark Furman.
Yeah, Mark Furman. All right. Okay, so she said she changed her mind. That some people say she told him and she changed her mind the day of because it was too expensive. Some people say that she didn't even tell Jason at all that she wasn't showing up to his restaurant that he made reservations for her, I guess. So William Deere claims that all of Jason's mental health issues combined with the fact that Nicole promised to go to his restaurant set Jason off. And he waited for Nicole that night. And then he killed her in a fit of rage after stopping taking his meds. He hadn't taken his meds in like 3 months or something. And Ron was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, delivering the glasses. Ron had many wounds on his hands that looked like he had hit someone that night, like knuckle wounds. But OJ didn't have many bruises. He only had that one hand cut. And when OJ was in the LAPD custody, he basically stripped voluntarily and there was no marks anywhere on his body, pictures and everything. So Jason was never examined.
Where are those pictures?
Yeah, I bet you they're in some fucking drawer somewhere threatening OJ with. As soon as you're done paying off the Goldmans, you're mine. Jason was never examined, so they didn't know if he had any bruises or anything like that. Deere even suggests that Jason doesn't even have a good alibi. So his alibi was that he was working late that night till about 11 p.m. But his punch card at work was written in by hand that night, even though the punch machine was working. So I used to work where there was punch machines, and if you fucking missed it, your boss would write in the time and then like initial it. But it looks like he just wrote in his time at 11.
So where did he live at home?
Honestly, I think he lived around them. Like because he had a bunch of guest houses. I'm not sure where Jason lived, honestly. I know it must have been not far because he was around in a lot of places for this.
He lived in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the blood on the Bronco is what gets me. So was there blood on the Bronco, or did they just take some liberties and say, "Oh, there's some blood on the Bronco. We're worried about it."
There was blood on the handle of the Bronco going in and in the steering wheel.
Yeah, but like, was it that? I mean, do we believe the police? That's the problem here. Like,
well, you're going all Johnny Cochran on this. This is exactly what Johnny Cochran did.
Yeah.
But there's blood-soaked fucking socks in his house. There's blood drips all around his house. There's blood.
Okay, but if you're the
place,
son and you're terrified, if you're the son and you're terrified, you run to your dad, right?
Yeah, this is how the theory moves, right?
Fuck it, arrest them both. You know.
Deere bought a storage locker owned by Jason Simpson, and it contained a double-edged knife. Deere claims the knife has been studied by world-renowned forensic scientists and claims that the butt of the weapon matches the wound on Nicole's head. Deere also got Jason's diary, which is very violence and knife-based. One entry reads, "It's the year of the knife for me. I'm going to cut away my problems with a knife." He was also trained with knives at the military academy, which I found that's an interesting, like, who trains you with knives? Like knife training day at the military academy, but cool.
Wait, that is a real quote?
I swear to God, yeah. It's the year of the knife for
Case closed. How do we get any further than that?
There you go.
He may as well have written, "Man, this year I cannot wait to go and kill Nicole Brown Simpson and whoever is sleeping with her."
What I don't understand is like, how do you find this shit and it's like case closed that easily, but the fucking prosecution is so hard on for like, does the glove fit?
Well, I mean, I would honestly, because Richard is speaking to that in some ways. That defense was shady and illegal as fuck. Like, they were all bad people. Every single one of them. Like, to think that Johnny Cochran didn't die of karmic cancer is wrong.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy.
Johnny Cochran was a bad asshole for sure. He like manipulated the shit out of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. They took advantage of the fact that it was high profile so they could obfuscate things in the media. Yeah. And that's like a tactic that like shines through to this day. It's not quite as like in your face, but they do all kinds of things. Like the public opinion makes a decision prior to, anything that happens in an actual trial. And that basically taints the hope of ever finding an impartial jury.
And if you were to do a jury of OJ's peers, it would have been a bunch of people from Brentwood. It would have been a bunch of white rich guys and girls, right? But
right.
Like he angled it to not have to do that. You're right. He did. He played it perfectly. Like he fucking played them so hard, and they fucked up. The prosecutors fucked up, really. But
oh yeah,
let's go. There's even more.
Right, because I'm not convinced he did it. I think he knows who did, and
yeah, it could very well be. They found the knife. It was a double-edged knife that they found that said matched like the butt head thing. But the police already, like the forensic people from the trial, say it was probably a single-edged knife, like because of the skin ripping that I told you about earlier, right? So that may or may not be part of it. Who knows? Here's the craziest part to me. This is the most compelling part for OJ's kid to me, is that OJ hired his son a criminal attorney named Carl Jones the day after the murders before anyone was questioned.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm changing my answer. The son did it. And the father's just, not being a shitty father. So good on him. Props to OJ on that one.
No, I think it's worse than that. I think because with OJ's DNA being there, I think he was there and he either enlisted his son to help him or ended up being there while he was doing it and either tried to stop him or he did it and called OJ after the fact. And OJ showed up and was like, "Get out of here. We'll take care of it."
I think you're right. I think it was he called the dad after the fact. He went there, ran up on it. That's why that's why the blood was in the car. That's why he panicked. That's why. I mean, yeah, I think that all lines up.
He has a history of violence.
There's no prior history of suicide, right? Like, what would make you push yourself to that? Not just killing somebody. I mean, generally, you don't kill somebody. I mean, murder suicides have a lot more to them. Sorry, go ahead.
Instead of just being fully, like able to just like take the fall though too, it seems like OJ's ego is too big and he still needed to be innocent as well as his son getting away with it, which is why I think this went as far as it did. Because had he actually been, like the hero dad, which is still gross as fuck, people need to be held accountable for their actions. He just was like, "No, I didn't do it. Don't look over there, but I also didn't do it."
Got to remember when that slow speed chase was done, Jason was there, the only person outside, like waving at his dad. Was this like him just being like, "Dad, I'll take the heat. Don't worry about it. Stop doing what you're doing. Don't kill yourself." And OJ went inside. They had a conversation. I don't know if Jason was inside, honestly. I know his mom was inside, but I don't know if Jason got pulled away by the police or not. But why hire the lawyer? There's so much to the Jason thing that I think the last theory here that I have, OJ and a partner theory, it's an interesting one. It piggybacks on both the theories and kind of mashes them together. It's basically the same as the Jason story, except OJ comes in to help clean up the evidence, or OJ helped the son with the murders. So many people think the murders happened too quickly for OJ to have gotten away in the Bronco and make it to his limo that night. That other person would have had to have helped him just to make the murders happen quicker and everyone get out of there at the same time. And even though OJ got a conviction of not guilty in the criminal trial, he did, however, lose the civil case to the Goldmans for wrongful death. He was ordered to pay the Goldmans over $30 million in damages, and he's paid less than 1% of that over the years. Yeah, so any money OJ earns now has to be given to the Goldmans. They can't touch his pension from the NFL, but everything else is free game. So OJ still just lives off his like, I forget how much it is. I think it's $5K a month or $10K a month or something like that. It's enough. He lives off enough. All right. So OJ told everyone that a ghostwriter came up to OJ. His name is Pablo Fengives. Pablo. Anyways, he came to OJ with a book and he wrote the book and then got OJ to approve it. This is what OJ says. But the ghostwriter guy, Pablo, says that OJ and him sat down and wrote it together. So I'm going to believe the ghostwriter guy. But the book was called, after everything was said and done, it was called If I Did It. He got his two kids that he had with Nicole, Sydney and Justin, to basically start a publishing company, and they were the one publishing it, so they were going to get paid, not him. So he tried to find a loophole in the system to get them the money. He would pay that, like they would pay OJ, on the side without him knowing. So while it was struck, but the Goldman saw right through it. They're like, "Fuck you, we get this money." So what they did is they got the rights to the book. Okay. And they already had like a bunch of copies already printed of the book, but they scrapped those copies and they wrote a new chapter of the book, like a forward and an afterword, I think, in the book. And they changed the "if" font on the front of the book to like a very tiny font. So it basically just looks like "I did it," the O.J. Simpson story or whatever. But in the book, there's one chapter that basically OJ admits to killing Nicole and Ron. He says Nicole charges him. He throws her to the ground where she smashes her head. He says that Ron gets into a karate stance and he and his friend just went on a killing rampage. He keeps calling his friend Charlie. Could Charlie be Jason or AC or somebody else random? I'm going to go with Jason. He's doing press for this fucking book and goes on national television basically laughing about what happened. So I'm more, after reading a lot of this, I'm more to think that like Jason is Charlie. Jason lost his shit, stabbed Nicole and Ron. and OJ helped cover it up, if not part of it. I think OJ was like, I think the way OJ describes it is what happened. I was trying to get a copy of the book, but I'm too cheap to buy it because I'm not going to read it. I just want to read the chapter.
The money goes to the Goldman family. Come on. That mustache wax doesn't buy itself, baby.
Yeah, I know. And I feel bad for the Goldmans because OJ will never pay them. OJ, like in prison, OJ was signing shit left, right, and center. That's how he was making all this under the table money. When you said to like sign some jerseys for him, that's what OJ would do.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't claim it all. He'd claim some of it, but yeah.
Yeah, Rick had to duck.
Did he say that?
It's beer o'clock, baby. Let him go.
Well, his theory was that Jason did it, right? That's what he ended up with.
I mean, yeah, he just ended up agreeing. I mean, that's what I think too. I mean, everything is there to be like, because it's messy enough and it's unclear enough, and they didn't investigate him, Jason, enough that it just makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like to me, the way it all lines up, he just comes like shining through.
It's super compelling, and I'd love to see them retest the DNA now with like the genetics we have nowadays.
Yep.
Like, and see what the advancements are and see what happens. But it would be really fruitless. And I don't even know, like, do you think after a trial they keep evidence or they just chuck it? Like, it'd be done with. What's the point? Or they keep it for just in case they find the real killer? I guess?
Right. And I don't know what the compatibility is with the results, where if like somehow they tested Jason's DNA that they could match it to what they already, I don't know if it works that way. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if like it has like a shelf life, like blood or whatever to.
No, you can get DNA from like 150-year-old. Like you can get DNA from like 1,000 years old. You know what I mean? DNA is pretty resilient. But the other thing is though, I have a hard time believing that Jason did it in a couple ways. Just for the fact that like, okay, sure. Let's pretend that the cops planted all OJ's blood.
Sure. The evidence is wildly compelling.
OJ, I think it's way more compelling with OJ. There's footprints of shoes that OJ had. His feet were soaked in Nicole's blood. He went there. Where's all Jason's shit? I guess they didn't search Jason enough. I guess maybe that could be it. I listening to that fucking 911 call makes me think.
That's what I mean. I think I agree. No, I agree. He's a fucking lunatic, and that's why he would do something like go there, see her dead, and kind of just be like, good, and then help his son get away with it.
The hiring of the lawyer is what gets me. What makes me think Jason did it, really? Because why would that even be hired before anybody's questioning OJ? They still thought OJ might have been dead at this point, right? Like they didn't get any DNA tests back or anything like that. I don't know.
Yup.
Yeah. So are we going to tell OJ that his kid did it and you helped him clean it up? Are we going to tell OJ that?
No, you're going to tell him that.
Yeah, I live in the middle of nowhere. The juice can't come get me here.
Give him Rick's address. He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rick had to leave. He got scared.
Yeah.
We know too much. That's why Rick left. He's like, we know too much now.
Yeah. You can find me at 123 South American Country on any given day lane.
As if that little wiener left already. It's not even 9 o'clock. I got on early. I was like, oh, let's do this early because we need maybe an extra hour. And he goes, oh, let's end an hour early. What if
Well, now's the opportunity to drag him.
Oh, now we can trash him.
Yeah.
Rick gets more like gets dick.
Fucking killed him. Boom.
Roasted. Take that. OJ, buddy, figured it out.
Yeah, tell me who the culprit is.
Richard says your son did it, and that you covered it up.
No.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we know you had a hand in it, OJ. We know you did it, and Jason did it.
This is blasphemous. I'll stay out of Los Angeles because of the private takes and because the real killer is still out there.
The real killer is your son, and I'm glad you covered it for him. We actually give you kind of some props, OJ. That's what a good dad should do: is cover up their son's crimes. I wouldn't do it because I'm not an asshole, but I mean, good for you, OJ.
I don't know what to say right now. This isn't the case. But if I did do it, I'd say I do a pretty good job of covering it up if I did do it.
We've heard.
If I did
So we've heard.
If I did it.
Oh, fuck. We took a case from somebody in debt.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no net worth left here in the United States. I'm a broke man.
Do you see? This is why we haven't made any money.
And Ben Park still owes us fucking money. We're like full of debtors.
Yep.
We're fucked.
Damn.
Thanks, OJ. You fucked us again.
Is Bobby good at lawsuits?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Big thanks to Cole Blenner from Beers and Bullshit for playing the part of OJ. You the man, bro.
Let me put on my OJ face here.
I wouldn't put on an OJ face. That'll get you in a lot of trouble. Keep going.
Yeah. 2021. I can't do that anymore.
Bob, can we say that?
I just watched Private Dicks and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.
Hey there, all you private dickheads. That's probably not the name we're gonna stick with. Anyways, RJ here. I am here to tell you thank you for listening to another episode of Private Dicks. If you liked what you heard, go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere they take your reviews, drop us 5 stars, say something nice. Also, what you just heard was from last season. If you want current episodes as they're dropped, head on over to patreon.com and search up Unethical Podcast. That's our mother podcast. I was not aware Private Dicks was a spinoff. I'm going to renegotiate my contract. On Patreon is a full 16-episode season, more of Private Dicks, uncut videos of each episode, and many more things are getting added all the time. You can also find all of Unethical's content on there, so go listen to that. And if you're already a patron, fuck yeah, dude. You're the best.
Hi, I'm Celeste.
Hi, I'm Richard.
Hey, I'm Christy.
And I'm Tally.
We're the hosts of Unethical Podcast. Every episode, we take a humorous dive into a case study that poses an ethical question, like, should mentally ill murderers ever be released?
No.
We discuss what the outcomes of these cases are and what they should be, with a unique guest host every episode.
Richard needs some more testosterone around here.
Nah, I think it's mostly coming from Celeste.
Girls are mean.
Our podcast is no holds barred, true crime, comedy, adult content, and definitely not for everybody.
But like most people aren't like can handle swear words and stuff, right? Am I right about that?
No.
No.
You can subscribe wherever you eat your podcasts to listen. Follow us on Instagram where we post our teasers to guess what's coming next. And join us on Facebook to get involved in the conversation. Welcome to Unethical Podcast.